to the Architect My Business podcast. I'm Aya Shlachter, your host, founder, and CEO of MGS Global Group. We provide architectural drafting and rendering services for busy firm owners and designers. Recently, we added new services such as bookkeeping and digital marketing. I put aside my dream of being an architect and pivoted to serve architects. Since then, I've never looked back. MGS Global started as a part-time gig when I was a new mom drafting for architects in New York City. Now we serve small to large firms and publicly traded companies in retail and hospitality. The best part, I get to help architects maintain a better work-life balance so they can do more of what matters most. From starting out solo to now leading a team of over 45 and growing, I've learned a thing or two about making a business thrive. Whether you're thinking of starting, already managing, or want to take your business to the next level, this podcast is for you. Each episode is packed with simple, actionable tips in leadership, people, marketing processes, and of course, profit. I keep things real. Like you, I've got no time for fluff. This podcast is brought to you by MGS Global Group. Now, let's get into this episode. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year and welcome to the Architect My Business podcast. I know it's been a minute since I've done my podcast, but a lot happened in 2024. So I'm back and really excited about this episode, the first episode of 2025. So I am podcasting from our headquarters, Cebu City. I'm Aya Shlachter, host of the Architect My Business podcast and CEO of MGS Global Group. For those of you who don't know, MGS Global Group is a construction documentation company where we partner with AEC firms to help them with their construction documentation. And we're here at our headquarters in the Philippines where all of our architects and BIM specialists they're right outside. So I'm excited to be here. Also, a few updates. I will be speaking at the PodFest in Orlando. I don't know if you've heard about PodFest, but it's the biggest and longest running podcast expo in the world. A friend of mine, Chris Kremitzos, the founder of PodFest, started this 11 years ago. And I'm really excited to be there because we are going to be meeting a lot of content creators and also, small podcasters like myself to share and learn knowledge from experiences of our podcasting and how podcasting has, helped us personally, professionally, and in the business. And, that's exactly why I started the Architect My Business podcast so that we can all learn, share, and grow. So I'm excited to be a speaker at that conference in PodFest Orlando. Some updates too. Last year, 2024 was crazy year. A lot of travel. For some of you who know me, I travel a lot for conferences. I speak in a lot of the events for the AIA. I travel back and forth to Asia, and also visiting my clients all over the US. But, I just had a little bit of a wake up call this year because I realized my daughter, who is 17, is going to college next year. And I'm getting a little sad. I'm getting sad because, she's going to leave me and going to college. So I'll try to kind of stay home a little, travel less and spend more time with my daughter, Anna, and do college tours, which is, I'm sure a lot of you moms who've had kids who went to college, the feeling of, your daughter leaving, to find her own identity and like explore the world. So that's what's going on. Also this year, I'm going to be turning 50. It's going to be a huge milestone. I can't believe I'm going to be 50 in November, and it's a ways back, but this is my golden year. But to be honest, I actually don't feel that old. So let's just keep it at that. So like I said, instead of trying to do a recap of 2024, I wanted to share my thoughts coming into 2025. I know in my previous podcast, I talk about, all the things that happened in 2024, but I'm moving into 2025 with a different outlook. End of the year in 2024, the last 6 weeks, November and December, I actually took a little bit of a pause and a break of keeping on doing things because I had a lot of family visiting Cleveland where I live. And it gave me a lot of time to reflect and really think about what's going to happen in 2025. For the first time in my business life, and I've been in business for like over 17 years, I actually felt a little stumped because I didn't know what's going to happen with AI. I'm sure you all know that, AI is coming and it's changing, the way we work and live. And so I don't know how to plan for my business and do all the things. Even though I had a planning session, I couldn't put my fingers around it. Like I couldn't figure out what it is that I need to do to succeed in 2025 in terms of business planning, capacity planning, pipeline planning, marketing, and all that. So the last 6 weeks of November and December, last 6 weeks of last year, I took a pause. And it's actually difficult for me and for people who run their own businesses to take a pause, because when you take a pause, it actually requires discipline. We come from a world where we all want to be productive, and when we're sitting around, we don't feel like valued because we're not doing anything. But the best thing I did for myself last, in December, was to take a pause. I did a lot of long walks with my friends. I meditated. I started a meditation practice every morning. I started with 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Now I do 8 minutes every morning. So it's all meditation is like, I really didn't know how to meditate, but now I've kind of learned to just listen to the universe and what the universe is telling me. Like with the age of AI, we really can't predict what's going on. So it's better to, really internalize things, and just instead of doing and doing, just listen. Because, a lot of ideas come from listening and being quiet and staying still. So I want to share two concepts that really entered my mind coming into 2025. The first concept is you need to be like a fountain and not a drain. It's the fountain principle. You need to be a fountain, not a drain. You need to start giving more than you are taking. So that's the first principle. And the second principle is ignorance is a choice, and so is education. And let me talk about that a little further. So I'll talk about the fountain principle. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been in this place of mindfulness and purpose, and how do I show up as the best self in 2025. So on my way from Cleveland to the Philippines, I was watching this movie, and one of the lines in the movie said, you need to be more like a fountain, not a drain. You need to start giving more than you are taking. And this was really like transformative for me, because I always believe that generosity is the key to success. Like when you have a closed fist, you will never receive, but when you give, you will always receive the blessings, right? So, I was thinking, how can I show up as a fountain to my people, and how can I share this message to you? So I try to relate it to other aspects of everyone's life. Like for instance, I'm the boss, or I'm the company owner, and I'm an employer. How can I best serve my employees and create a work environment that would really help them thrive and give them autonomy to carve their work life balance at work? So in my opinion, as an employer, I really want to make sure that my employees are taken care of, that they can thrive in the environment where they work. They spend 40 hours a week at work. So that's my fountain for my team. How can I support you? How can I give you a good environment where you can thrive? So for the employees out there, I actually don't really consider you an employee. When I became a business owner, you became my boss. I'm here to serve you, to make sure all of your needs are met. We have a project pipeline to keep the payroll going. So again, that's me being a fountain to my team to make sure we have a continuous pipeline of projects. So for employees, how can you be a fountain in your own respective rights at work? So you can be a fountain by providing the best service you can to your clients, to the clients that you serve. How can you go beyond what you're required to do? And if you're an employee and you're a project manager and you're managing a team, how can you empower your team members or your people who report to you to give them access to information and to train them and to mentor them? Like I said, generosity is the key to success. If you keep knowledge to yourself and not train your employees and the people that you mentor, then it would be hard for you to take a vacation because you haven't transferred that information. See what I'm saying? Like as an employee and a manager, you need to empower your team and share all the knowledge that you can, because at the end of the day, if you get sick or if you have an emergency or if you go on vacation, then you know that they're there to help you with the work. So for people who are in marketing and content creation, I know the purpose of marketing and content creation is to generate sales and leads. But for content creators out there, think about your target audience and what content do you have so that you can solve a problem, so that you can create value for them instead of just thinking of the sales pitch in the end or the call to action. That's all important. But in general, when you're creating content, make sure you come from a place of service and also a place of knowledge. How can you share the knowledge that you have to empower their businesses. So for you budding entrepreneurs, I hear this a lot, right? I want to start a business because I want to make a lot of money. I want to buy that, fancy car, or, buy that house. But I think, why don't you switch your mindset to say, I want to start a business so I can solve a problem. What is that problem you want to solve? Because when you have a problem to solve, the business will just come to you. So again, you're shifting your mindset to something that is, becoming a fountain of the service you're providing, the problem you're trying to solve for your potential business. So I hear a lot of, I want to become a doctor because I'm going to make a lot of money. I want, but I think you should reverse that. Who can I serve? How can I serve? What product or service can solve a problem? Because when you have a problem to solve, then the customers will come. So for the salespeople out there, people who are in sales and lead generation, I know you have a quota, right? And you need to report to your boss and make sure that you've met all the meetings and this. But how about if you show up with a mindset of creating connection and genuine connection and interest with your potential clients, instead of just having transactions for your potential clients and customers, right? So instead of just seeing a person as somebody who's giving you money for sales for your company, what about creating real connection and really caring about your customer on a deeper level, like again solving the problem, right? The thing is, I've been to a lot of networking events, and a lot of the salespeople just want to pitch and close a deal, get on a discovery call. But what about, start with asking about their hobbies or what interests them? Because when you create genuine connection, people will want to buy from you. So again, you're coming from a place of generosity and curiosity for your clients. As a business owner, don't get me wrong. I run a business, right? And people will say, how can you be a fountain all the time when you're a business owner? Is that even possible? So as a child, my father always told me generosity is the key to success and give till it hurts. And I was like, how is that possible? Like during COVID, I actually gave till it hurt because my bank account dwindled because we didn't have any clients. So I really did give till it hurts because I have employees to pay, right? But at the end of the day, the blessings just came back tenfold. Like our company has grown over 400% since COVID because I don't have a scarcity mindset. So when you come from a place of generosity, everybody wins. So one of my favorite quotes, and I know it's really like I say this every year, almost every new year. This is like, I always reiterate this in a lot of my LinkedIn posts. It's by Viktor Frankl. He says, don't aim for success. The more you aim for it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as a byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. So for business owners who have abundance in their careers and their businesses, the reason why we're abundant is because we're not chasing the money. We're making sure we provide best results for our customers and problems that we have to solve. So just keep that in mind, right? So I wanted to end this part of my concept of the fountain principle. Ask yourself, how can you be a fountain in 2025? Whether as a mom, an employer, a spouse, an employee, a project manager, sales, ask yourself, how can you be a fountain in 2025? So this is a perfect segue to the next concept I'm going to share, because the next concept I'm going to share is about taking ownership of your growth. So I came across this podcast, and the podcast host mentioned ignorance is a choice. I was like, whoa, that's really powerful. But I added to it. Ignorance is a choice, and so is education. So for some of you who don't know me or, what I do, I actually launched a new podcast called AI for Architects, which is why I haven't really podcasted a lot for the Architect My Business podcast. I launched a new podcast last year, and I'm like, do I really need another podcast, right? It's like, wow, too many podcasts. But when I talk about ignorance is a choice and so is education, this idea of a podcast came really because of AI. I was AI curious early last year and really exploring all these AI tools. And I was like really curious. But soon after, I became AI anxious because I was afraid of what AI was going to do to the architecture profession, to my job. And I was like panicking. So one time I had a talk with my friend Chris Kermitsos, the founder of Podfest. And I told him that, I'm really worried about AI, that it could disrupt the industry. I don't know what's going to happen to my business. And he said, Aya, just start a podcast. So this is why I started the podcast, right? I didn't want to be ignorant. I wanted to be educated so I can learn and see how I can pivot for this year. So this is why it's good to stay quiet. It's good to really reflect, because if you keep on going, doing the things, you're going to miss all the things around you. You're going to miss that AI is actually really happening so fast, right? You need to be aware of your surrounding 360. So that's why I started the podcast. And do I have a lot of time to do this? No, but again, I chose education over ignorance. So because I started the podcast, I assembled and I activated a team in MGS Global to review 50 AI tools so that we know how to integrate AI into our drafting work processes, right? And as a result, I started the podcast and started sharing use cases of the tools that we're using, because if I win, everybody wins, right? We can all win together. So this is one of the things of education is a choice, and ignorance is a choice as well. So when you have education and when you educate yourself, education is power, knowledge is power. And when you have the knowledge, it gives you the confidence to make the right decisions for your business. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs get so busy doing all these things, but you got to take a pause and really think about how you can empower yourself through education. We have everything at our fingertips right now. Online, YouTube videos, a lot of content creators giving free content, a lot of, AI tools that you can explore. So start learning. So one of the things that I want to ask the architect, since, this is the Architect My Business podcast, is how do you stay relevant in the AI era, right? So how do you educate yourself right now to stay relevant and to future proof your business in the AI era? As a person who's really, took a deep dive on the AI tools, it's a little bit scary because there are a lot of AI tools that can really democratization of design, right? Anyone can use AI tools to design. I just reviewed an AI tool yesterday, Veras, where you can take a picture of your existing kitchen, put it on the web-based app. You don't need, to buy software, and it has 30 preset designs that you can see. So that leaves us with what is the value of an architect. So these are the things that I want you to start to think about, right? What kind of tools there are to help you accelerate your business, and also to watch out for, because you could be losing customers with new AI tools that are democratizing design. So that's why education is really important, to try to find new business models so you can pivot and maybe integrate AI into your practice. One of the things too that I wanted to share about, education is a choice, ignorance is also a choice, is, most architects, we are so busy doing the things at the office, creating construction documents, talking to clients, responding to RFPs and things like that. But we must remember that with AI tools, everything can be streamlined, but architecture is still human. So I think instead of focusing your time on just your drafting on your computer, why don't you try to pick up the phone and talk to your clients or go to that event? I know a lot of architects are introverts. I myself was an introvert. I still consider myself an introvert. I didn't like going to events, but you know what? Now at the age of AI, we need to create connection. We need to create our own experiences with interacting with other people, because that's our unique value we can share in the world, right? AI cannot experience what we experience, and AI has no connection to human beings. So as an architect, I think it's good to start reaching out to people, going to these networking events and building connections with your community that could potentially be your clients. Like I said, we have everything we need at our fingertips. There's no need to be ignorant. If we can spend 8 hours a day working on our business or working on drafting and responding to RFPs, we can spend 30 minutes a day of learning about AI or business or a new tool, or read a book about, business development or things like that. So that's one thing that I wanted to impart with the audience, is if there's one thing that you want to learn, why don't you try learning? Especially AI is where I really want a lot of people to focus on, because I wanted also to invite you to my podcast. If you have any use cases and you can share that with my audience, please reach out to me. Like I said, knowledge is power. When we share our use cases, we can all learn from each other, because AI is really new in architecture industry. And the more we share, the better, we are, and we can all uplift each other. So, as we're wrapping this podcast, I just wanted to ask you, what are your goals for 2025, right? I'm sure we all have goals for 2025, and a lot of us want to level up, right? So, obviously we all want to get better, whether it's mentally, if we want to empower our minds, our bodies, and our businesses, we all want to get better every year. So, I just wanted to mention that ignorance is no longer an option, especially coming into 2025. And if you want to really level up, I really like this quote that I read from this book. If comfort is your goal, mediocrity is the result, right? And a friend of mine, Jim, said, your fear is going to limit you and keep you safe. So you have to always step out of your comfort zone, because learning happens when we do that. I know it's so cliche, but it really does. If you want to really level up your life and your business, you got to step out of your comfort zone. For a business owner who's afraid to grow their business and not hire an employee, maybe now is the time to hire your first employee. Again, the fist, right? If you're tight fisted, you will never receive. If you provide employment opportunity for others, you'll be surprised. You'll be able to get more projects. And I'm speaking from experience because, like I mentioned, our team has grown significantly post COVID. So if you want to start your own firm, launch your podcast or YouTube channel, public speaking is the worst and the hardest thing anyone can do. Trust me, I still get nervous whenever I start or when I hit record. But if you're trying to launch your podcast, show up more in social media, or go on that family trip or a meditation retreat, or learn how to invest, learn about finances and financial planning for your business, or run your first marathon or race, why not, right? Like, again, growth always happens when you step out of your comfort zone. I always say success is decisions away, not years away. So what decisions can you make now so that you can have a very fruitful and meaningful and leveled up 2025? So again, success is decisions away and not years away. So if you want to level up for 2025, you got to decide to do the hard thing. You got to really take the first step and take action. I'm the same way. There are a lot of things I want to do in 2025 that I will talk about in the next episodes. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be, hard to do, but you got to do it so that you're able to grow. My friend Chris actually has a book called Start Ugly. You never see a content creator see their first video and they're polished. No, you see them messing up and all that. Again, you start ugly because at the end of the day, it gets easier, right? So to end this podcast, just wanted to say, start becoming a fountain and choose education over ignorance. Thanks for listening. Please share this episode to your friends and colleagues or whoever can benefit from this podcast. It's really great to be here again. And till next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Architect My Business podcast. If you want more, head over to architectmybusiness.com for more episodes, show notes, and links to everything mentioned in this episode. Don't forget to catch our mini shows, Her Space, Ask Aya, and our main show, Architect My Business. If you enjoyed our episodes and want to hear more, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Your feedback really helps us grow. Stay tuned for the next episode. Bye!